Thank you. And our last question.
Mhm.
Is loneliness and the desire to be part of a community a good enough reason to join the church? Or should there be more than that?
Yeah, good question. So is loneliness a good enough reason? A bit similar to the last one, isn't it? And I guess by extrapolating from that, you might say, and if I don't feel lonely, do I need to? I think there are lots of reasons why it's good to become a follower of Jesus. And in my experience, I've seen people come to discover the Christian faith and embrace a life following Jesus. I've seen often it can happen for one of three reasons. Sometimes it's a sense of loneliness. I long for belonging, and I find suddenly here is a community that welcomes me, a God who loves me, and I get brought into a family, and that is a beautiful thing. For some people, it's a great sense of need in life, and we're talking about some of the great existential needs in life this week and how the Christian faith can meet some of those other needs in real ways and make sense of those desires and questions that we have. But also for some people, it's more cerebral. It's just actually, I don't feel I particularly need this, but I come to a conviction that I think it might be true. If you want a good example of that, look at someone like C.S. Lewis. Who, for many of his years in life, he was a skeptic, till eventually later in life became a committed follower of Jesus. And he didn't want Christianity to be true. It wasn't so much a psychological crutch for Lewis. He actually didn't want it to be true. But actually, eventually he came to this conviction, partly through his friendship with Tolkien. They were good friends and talked much together in Oxford. He came to this conviction it was true. And there's this lovely line in his kind of semi-biographical work called Surprised by Joy, where he says, I knelt by my bed, the most dejected and reluctant convert in all of England. He didn't want it to be true. But the book is called Surprised by Joy. And there's a double play on the word joy there, because his wife, who he also met later in life, was called Joy, and he was surprised by her. But also, he was surprised when he embraced the Christian faith of the joy that he experienced. He didn't go into the Christian faith looking for community or a satisfaction for his longings. He embraced it because he felt that he couldn't avoid it any longer. It was true. It stacked up. Jesus lived, he died, he rose again. This was real. It wasn't just a myth. It was the true myth, as Lewis coined the phrase. But on embracing it, what a surprise. I discovered joy. I found love that I didn't expect to find. He thought it was going to be the end of life. He found, actually, counterintuitively, it was the beginning of life. So maybe you're here tonight and you're saying, actually, I long for community and belonging. And if that's you, I want to say the wonderful thing is in Jesus, you find the greatest belonging and community that you'll ever experience. But if you're here tonight saying, I'm not interested in that at all, I just came because my mate dragged me along and I couldn't say no anymore. I've been saying no all year. I just want to know whether it's true. Well, fine. Check out whether it's true. Read the Uncover books and find out. But look, if it is true, if this claim that we've made tonight, that the author of life itself stepped into human history, lived and died and rose again, if that actually happens, and there are good reasons to check it out, and if you're not convinced by the books themselves, there's a great book on the bookstall at the back called Can We Trust the Gospels, which looks at some of the historical reasons why we can trust that as a reliable source. And then say, if this is true, what difference would this make for my life? So for whatever reason you've come, do check it out and look into it more. Can I just say one more thing before I hand